Have you noticed that getting up from a chair feels harder than it used to? That carrying groceries leaves your arms shaking? Or maybe you've looked in the mirror and realized your body seems smaller somehow, even though you haven't lost weight. If any of that sounds familiar, I want you to know something very important right now. You are not imagining it, and it is not just getting old. What you're experiencing has a name. It's called sarcopenia, and it is one of the most underdiscussed, underdiagnosed conditions affecting adults over 60 today. My name is Dr. Alex Varsakis. I'm a cardiologist, and over the years I've treated thousands of patients in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. And I can tell you that muscle loss, sarcopenia, is something I see contributing to heart problems, falls, metabolic issues, and a dramatic decline in quality of life every single week in my practice. But here's what I also see. People who take the right steps and completely turn this around. People who at 65 feel stronger than they did at 55. People who get their independence back. People who stop being afraid of falling. People who enjoy their lives again. Today I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about muscle loss after 60. What causes it, what makes it worse, and these are things you might be doing right now without realizing it, what you should start doing today. And I'm going to share the real stories of 4 of my patients, Nancy, Charlie, Marlene, and Julio, and show you exactly what changed for them. So stay with me through this entire video because every segment builds on the last. And by the end, you're going to have a complete, clear roadmap. Let's start at the very beginning. Let me explain what's happening inside your body in plain language, not medical jargon. From the day we're born until around age 30, our muscles grow. After 30, we start to slowly lose muscle mass, about 3 to 5% per decade. But after 60, that rate can accelerate significantly. Some studies suggest we can lose up to 1 to 2% of our muscle mass every single year after 60 if we're not actively working against it. And here's why that matters so much. Muscles are not just for lifting weights at the gym. Your muscles power every movement you make, walking, climbing stairs, turning in bed. Protect your bones and joints from injury. Regulate your blood sugar. Muscle tissue is actually the body's largest glucose-absorbing organ. Support your cardiovascular system. As a cardiologist, I can tell you that muscle weakness is directly linked to increased heart disease risk. Influence your metabolism, your hormones, and even your mood. When muscles shrink, every one of those functions declines, and the downstream effects are enormous. So why does this happen? There are 4 main drivers of muscle loss after 60, and understanding them is the first step to fighting back. Number 1, hormonal changes. As we age, testosterone, growth hormone, and IGF-1, the hormone that signals muscle repair and growth, all decline substantially. For women, the drop in estrogen after menopause also contributes. These hormones are the body's construction crew. Fewer hormones means less rebuilding happening after daily wear and tear. Number 2, reduced protein synthesis. Older muscle is simply less efficient at using protein to build new tissue. This is called anabolic resistance. You can eat the same amount of protein you always did, and your body is now less effective at turning it into muscle. This is critical. It means seniors actually need more protein than younger adults, not less. Number 3, chronic inflammation. Aging is associated with a state of low-grade chronic inflammation. Scientists call it inflammaging. This constant background inflammation actively breaks down muscle tissue. Poor diet, inactivity, stress, and poor sleep all worsen this inflammation. Number 4, physical inactivity. And this is the big one. Muscles follow a simple principle: use it or lose it. The modern sedentary lifestyle, sitting for hours, avoiding stairs, not lifting anything heavier than a remote control, is accelerating muscle loss faster than any other factor. The great news? Of these 4 drivers, 2 of them, inflammation and inactivity, are almost entirely within your control, and you can significantly modify the other 2 through the right lifestyle choices. I want you to meet Nancy. She's 67 years old, a retired school librarian from Ohio. When Nancy first came to see me, she was frustrated and frankly a little frightened. "Dr. Varsakis," she told me, "I used to walk 2 miles every morning without thinking twice about it. Now I get winded going up my driveway." Nancy had gained no significant weight. Her heart checked out fine on her baseline tests. But when we looked more carefully, we found significant muscle loss, particularly in her legs and core. Her grip strength had declined dramatically, and her blood sugar regulation had worsened despite no change in her diet. Nancy is a perfect example of what I see constantly. The weight on the scale didn't change, but her body composition had shifted. Less muscle, more fat tissue. And that invisible shift was causing every single one of her symptoms. We'll come back to Nancy and what she did about it, but her story illustrates exactly why understanding sarcopenia isn't optional, it's essential. Before we talk about what to do, we have to talk about what to stop. Because some of the habits that feel harmless, or even healthy, are quietly destroying your muscle tissue every single day. 1. Extended sitting and sedentary behavior. This is the single most destructive thing most of my patients over 60 are doing. Sitting for more than 60 to 90 minutes at a stretch causes something researchers call anabolic suppression. Your body essentially turns off muscle protein synthesis. You do not have to be in a gym, you do not have to do a marathon, but you cannot be still for hours at a time and expect to hold on to your muscle. What to do instead? Set a timer for every 45 minutes. Stand up, walk for 2 minutes, stretch, sit back down. That simple habit makes a measurable difference. 2. Not eating enough protein or eating it at the wrong times. I've had patients tell me they're being heart healthy by avoiding meat and eating mostly salads and bread. And their intentions are wonderful, but the result is protein starvation for their muscles. After 60, most adults need between 1.2 and 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. That's significantly higher than standard guidelines that were written for younger adults. And timing matters enormously. Spreading your protein across all 3 meals is far more effective than eating most of it at dinner. Your muscles can only use so much protein at once for synthesis. 3. Skipping resistance exercise because it feels too intense. I hear this every week. "Dr. Varsakis, I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder." And I smile, because strength training is not about bodybuilding, it's about survival. Walking is wonderful for cardiovascular health, and I encourage it. But walking alone will not stop muscle loss. You need some form of resistance, whether that's light dumbbells, resistance bands, bodyweight exercises, or water aerobics. The resistance is the signal your body needs to hold on to muscle. 4. Chronic sleep deprivation. Muscle repair and growth hormone release both happen overwhelmingly during deep sleep. If you are getting less than 7 hours, or if your sleep quality is poor, your muscles are not recovering. Sleep is not lazy. Sleep is rebuilding. I cannot overstate how important this is. 5. Excessive alcohol consumption. Even moderate but regular drinking, 2 or 3 drinks most nights, suppresses muscle protein synthesis and elevates cortisol, a stress hormone that actively breaks down muscle tissue. Alcohol also depletes zinc, magnesium, and B vitamins that are essential for muscle function. I'm not here to tell you never to enjoy a glass of wine, but if you're having several drinks every evening and wondering why your strength is declining, you have your answer. 6. Ignoring pain and avoiding movement. This one breaks my heart. Many of my patients experience joint pain or soreness and respond by moving less, which leads to weaker muscles, which puts more stress on the joints, which causes more pain. This is a vicious cycle, and I've seen it trap people. The answer is not less movement, it's smarter movement. Working with a physical therapist to find movements that don't aggravate your specific condition is life-changing. 7. High-sugar, ultra-processed diets. Sugar and refined carbohydrates drive inflammation. And remember, inflammation is one of our 4 main drivers of muscle loss. Ultra-processed foods also tend to displace the protein, vitamins, and minerals your muscles desperately need. I'm not asking you to eat perfectly, But if your daily diet is built around packaged foods, white bread, sodas, and sweets, your muscles are paying the price. 8. Social isolation and depression. This connection surprises many people, but the research is clear. Social isolation and depression are strongly associated with accelerated muscle loss. Depression reduces motivation to eat well and exercise. Social isolation removes the accountability and joy that keep people moving. As a physician, I consider your emotional well-being as essential as your physical health. Let me tell you about Charlie. 71 years old, retired firefighter, lifelong tough guy, his words, not mine. Charlie came to me after his daughter insisted. He'd been having increasing trouble climbing the 2 flights of stairs to his bedroom and had started sleeping in his recliner downstairs because it was easier. He told me he figured this was just what getting old looked like. When I reviewed his lifestyle, I found a pattern I see constantly in men of his generation. He was eating 1 big meal a day, a large dinner with his daughter on weekdays, and fast food on weekends. Almost no protein until evening. He was sitting in that recliner for 8 to 10 hours a day watching sports.
Come on,
and he was having 4 or 5 beers every evening, which he described as relaxing. Charlie had essentially created a perfect storm for muscle loss. Protein deprivation during the day, chronic sedentary behavior, and nightly alcohol suppressing whatever muscle repair his body might otherwise have done while he slept, or rather, dozed in a chair that wasn't even giving him proper sleep. I told Charlie straight, because that's what he wanted. Charlie, nothing about what's happening to you is inevitable. Every single one of these factors is changeable. He looked at me for a long moment and said, "Then tell me what to change." We'll come back to what Charlie did. All right, let's talk about what to do. And I want you to think of this in 4 pillars, because each one is essential and they all work together. Prioritize high-quality protein at every meal. Aim for 25 to 40 grams of protein per meal. Good sources include eggs, one of the most perfectly bioavailable protein sources on the planet, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, fish, especially salmon and sardines, chicken and turkey, legumes like lentils and chickpeas, and if needed, a high-quality whey or plant-based protein supplement. Prioritize leucine-rich foods. Leucine is an amino acid that acts like a direct on switch for muscle protein synthesis. It's found in highest concentrations in whey protein, eggs, chicken, beef, and soy. Making sure you're getting adequate leucine, roughly 2 to 3 grams per meal, is one of the most evidence-backed nutritional strategies for muscle preservation after 60. Anti-inflammatory foods are muscle protective. Fatty fish, olive oil, berries, leafy greens, turmeric, ginger. These foods reduce the chronic inflammation that accelerates muscle breakdown. Think of them as muscle armor. I encourage my patients to make olive oil their primary cooking fat and to eat a serving of fatty fish at least 3 times a week. Don't fear carbohydrates. Choose the right ones. Complex carbohydrates from sweet potatoes, oats, brown rice, quinoa, and vegetables provide the glycogen fuel your muscles need to function and recover. They also spare protein from being burned as energy, allowing it to do its real job. Let me be very clear about this. Exercise is the single most powerful intervention for muscle loss after 60. More powerful than any supplement. More powerful than any medication. The research on this is overwhelming. Resistance training, 2 to 3 times per week. This does not mean going to a gym and lifting heavy barbells. It means providing resistance for your major muscle groups. For beginners, this can be as simple as sit to stand from a chair, which is a squat. Wall push-ups. Stepping up and down a single step. Pulling resistance bands. As you get stronger, and you will get stronger, you increase the challenge gradually. Daily walking with intention. I prescribe walking to every single patient over 60. The goal is at least 30 minutes most days, but if you can't start there, start with 10. 10 minutes, 3 times a day, adds up to 30. Walking protects cardiovascular function, supports bone density, elevates mood, and maintains a baseline of muscle activity. It is not optional. It is medicine. Balance and flexibility training. Falls are one of the leading causes of death and disability in adults over 65. Strong muscles are your best fall prevention system, but balance training specifically, yoga, tai chi, standing on one foot, heel-to-toe walking, sharpens the neurological pathways between your brain and your muscles. I recommend at least 2 sessions per week of some form of balance work. I mentioned sleep in the avoid section, but let me expand on it here because it's so important. During deep sleep, your pituitary gland releases the majority of your daily growth hormone. This hormone directs your body to repair muscle fibers damaged during the day's activities and to build new ones. Without adequate deep sleep, this entire process is stunted. Here is my sleep prescription for muscle health. 7 to 9 hours per night in a cool, dark room. A consistent sleep schedule. Same time to bed, same time to wake, even on weekends. No screens for 60 minutes before bed. The blue light disrupts melatonin production. A small, high-protein snack before bed. Casein protein from cottage cheese or Greek yogurt provides a slow-release protein supply overnight during the repair process. If you have sleep apnea, which is extremely common and extremely undertreated, please get evaluated. Untreated sleep apnea fragments your deep sleep, devastates your heart health, and accelerates muscle loss simultaneously. I want to address supplements carefully because this is an area with enormous amounts of misinformation. I'm going to tell you what the evidence actually supports. Vitamin D. The majority of adults over 60 are deficient in vitamin D. This is a significant problem because vitamin D is directly involved in muscle protein synthesis and muscle function. I test all my patients for vitamin D levels. If you're deficient, supplementing under your doctor's guidance is essential. Omega-3 fatty acids. Fish oil or algae-based omega-3 supplements reduce inflammation and have demonstrated specific benefits for muscle protein synthesis in older adults in multiple clinical trials. 2 to 3 grams of combined EPA and DHA daily is what the research supports. Creatine monohydrate. I know, some of you are thinking, isn't that for young athletes? The research says otherwise. Creatine is one of the most well-studied and safe supplements for older adults. It increases the energy available in muscle cells, improves strength gains from resistance training, and supports brain health. 3 to 5 grams per day is the standard evidence-backed dose. Magnesium. Involved in over 300 enzymatic processes in the body, including muscle contraction and protein synthesis. Many older adults are deficient. Magnesium glycinate or malate are well-absorbed forms. Protein supplementation. If you genuinely cannot meet your protein needs through food alone, which is common, a high-quality whey protein isolate or plant-based blend with a complete amino acid profile can fill the gap. But it should supplement food, not replace it. Always discuss supplements with your physician before starting, particularly if you have kidney disease, cardiovascular conditions, or are taking medications. Good intentions plus the wrong supplement can create real problems. I want to tell you about Marlene. She's 64 years old, a retired nurse, so she thought she knew everything about health. And to be fair, she knew a great deal. But Marlene had spent 30 years on her feet as a nurse, and when she retired, she stopped moving. She told me, "I spent 30 years exhausted, and I finally let myself rest." I completely understood, but the transition from constant movement to near-complete sedentary life had hit her body hard within 18 months. What I loved about Marlene is that she was also doing something she thought was helpful, but was actually working against her. She had gone almost completely plant-based for heart health reasons, which is admirable, but she hadn't learned to build complete proteins from plant sources. She was eating beautifully colorful, nutritious food with very little bioavailable protein. Her muscle tissue was literally starving. We worked with a dietitian to redesign her meals, adding legumes combined with grains for complete proteins, incorporating eggs back into her breakfast, and adding a plant-based protein shake on workout days. We designed a 30-minute chair-based exercise routine for the first month, then progressed to resistance bands. 14 months later, Marlene told me something that made my week. I feel like myself again. I actually feel better than I did the last 5 years of nursing. That is what's possible. That is what this approach can do. I need to spend a few minutes on something that the medical community doesn't discuss enough when it comes to muscle health, and that's the role of your mental state and your social connections. There's a term I've come to use with my patients: purposeful momentum. It means moving through your life with intention, with connection, with something to move toward. And the research shows powerfully that people who have strong social networks, who feel needed and connected, who maintain purpose, they maintain their strength and health significantly longer than those who are isolated. Loneliness and depression don't just feel bad, they trigger cortisol, the stress hormone that breaks down muscle. They reduce appetite, which means less protein intake. They kill motivation for exercise. They fragment sleep. Loneliness is, quite literally, a physiological threat to your muscles. My recommendations here? Find a movement partner. Walking with a friend means you actually go. Joining a senior fitness class means you show up consistently. Exercise with other people is vastly more sustainable than solo exercise for most people. Volunteer, teach, mentor, contribute. A sense of purpose reduces inflammation. I'm not being poetic. This is measurable in the bloodstream. If you're struggling with depression or significant anxiety, please tell your doctor. Mental health treatment is physical health treatment for adults over 60. And finally, protect your mindset about aging itself. Research on what's called the stereotype embodiment theory shows that people who hold positive views of aging live significantly longer and maintain better function than those who believe decline is inevitable. What you believe about aging affects how you age. That is not wishful thinking. That is peer-reviewed science. Let me tell you about Julio. He's 68, a retired high school football coach from Texas, a man whose entire identity for decades was built around physical strength, athletic performance, and pushing young men to be their best. When Julio came to me, he was angry. Not at me, at himself. He had been ignoring warning signs for 2 years. His legs had lost so much strength that he'd had to stop coaching clinics. He'd fallen twice in the past year. And the man who had spent 30 years shouting no excuses at teenagers was making every excuse in the world for why he couldn't exercise. Too tired, too busy, too old, too far gone. What Julio needed wasn't a new exercise program first. He needed to hear from someone he trusted that he was worth investing in. That 68 wasn't the end of the story. I told him about patients who were 75, 80 years old, who had rebuilt significant strength. I showed him the research, and I saw something shift in his eyes. Julio started with resistance bands in his living room and a 20-minute walk every morning. He increased his protein dramatically. As a Texan, getting him to eat more eggs and lean beef was not a hard sell. He cut his nightly beer from 3 or 4 to 1 occasionally. 8 months later, Julio was back coaching clinics. He called my office not to make an appointment, but just to tell me that. That phone call is why I do what I do. He told me, "Coach Julio is back," and he laughed. I'll never forget that. I want to give you something concrete to walk away with. A simple daily framework. You don't have to overhaul your entire life on day 1. In fact, I strongly advise against that. Pick 1 or 2 of these and start there. Progress, not perfection. Morning. Within 30 minutes of waking, eat a high-protein breakfast. 2 or 3 eggs scrambled with vegetables. Greek yogurt with berries and a scoop of protein powder. Cottage cheese with fruit. Aim for 25 to 30 grams of protein. Take your vitamin D supplement with breakfast if your physician has recommended it. It's fat-soluble and absorbs better with food. Do a 10 to 15 minute walk outside within the first hour of your day if possible. Morning sunlight helps regulate your circadian rhythm, which improves sleep quality at night, which helps muscle repair. Everything is connected. Midday. Another protein-forward meal. Don't let lunch become a salad with a few croutons. Add grilled chicken, canned salmon, hard-boiled eggs, or beans. Aim for 25 grams minimum. On your resistance training days, 2 to 3 days per week, schedule your workout in the afternoon. Post-lunch is an ideal time for many seniors. Even 20 to 30 minutes is highly effective. Drink at least 2 large glasses of water between breakfast and lunch, and 2 more between lunch and dinner. Afternoon and evening. Break up any extended sitting. If you're watching television or reading, stand up every 45 minutes. Do 10 chair squats. Walk to the kitchen and back. It takes 90 seconds and it makes a difference. Evening meal. Protein again. Fish, chicken, lean beef, legumes. Complex carbohydrates from vegetables, sweet potato, or whole grains. If you choose to drink alcohol, limit it strictly. 1 drink maximum, and not every night. Begin your sleep wind down 60 minutes before bed. Dim the lights. Put down the phone. A small cup of cottage cheese or a glass of warm milk provides overnight muscle repair protein. Be in bed at a consistent time, 7 to 9 hours, every night. I want to give you several specific signs that mean you should come see your physician. Don't try to address these with lifestyle changes alone. Unintentional weight or muscle loss of more than 5% of your body weight in 6 to 12 months. Significant weakness in your grip. Difficulty opening jars, turning doorknobs. Falls or fear of falling that is limiting your activity. Difficulty climbing stairs or rising from a chair without using your arms. Fatigue and weakness despite adequate rest. Loss of appetite. These can be signs of sarcopenia, but they can also be signs of other conditions, including hypothyroidism, diabetes, cardiac conditions, or other metabolic issues that need evaluation. Please don't self-diagnose. Please come in. When you do see your doctor, ask for your vitamin D level, your B12, and a complete metabolic panel. If you're concerned about bone density, ask about a DEXA scan, which can also give you a body composition measurement that shows your muscle mass versus fat tissue. I want to close with what I tell every patient who walks into my office feeling like their best years are behind them. Your muscles are not giving up on you. They are waiting for you to give them a reason to stay. Nancy, who couldn't walk her driveway without losing her breath, now walks 2 miles every morning, the same 2 miles she gave up on years ago. Charlie, who was sleeping in his recliner because the stairs had defeated him, climbs those stairs without thinking twice. He texts me occasionally to complain that I cost him his excuse to avoid yard work. Marlene, the nurse who thought she knew everything but had missed one critical piece, is now teaching a senior yoga class in her community center on Thursday mornings. And Julio. Coach Julio is back on the sidelines, stronger and wiser, shouting no excuses, and this time he means it for himself too. These are real people. These are real results, and they are entirely, completely within your reach. The steps are not mysterious. They are not expensive. They don't require a perfect body or a perfect past or a gym membership. They require consistency, intention, and the decision to treat your health as the priority it deserves to be. If this video has helped you, even given you one thing to try today, please share it with someone you love who is over 60. Before I go, I want to remind you of one very important thing. Getting older does not mean you have to become weaker. Sarcopenia may be common after the age of 60, but there is so much you can do to protect your muscles, maintain your independence, and continue enjoying an active, healthy life. I hope today's video has given you valuable information and practical steps you can start using right away. Remember, small changes made consistently can lead to big improvements in your health and quality of life. If you found this video helpful, please do me a favor and share it with your friends, family members, and loved ones. You never know whose life you might help by sharing this important information. And if you're new here, I'd love to welcome you to our growing community. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for more health, heart, fitness, nutrition, and healthy aging advice designed specifically for adults over 60. Don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps this channel reach more people who can benefit from these health tips. Most importantly, leave a comment below and let me know what health questions you have. What topics would you like me to discuss in future videos? Whether it's heart health, walking, exercise, nutrition, blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, medications, or healthy aging, I read your comments and many of my future videos are inspired by your questions. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I'm Dr. Alex Varsakis, and I'm honored to be part of your journey toward a healthier, stronger, and longer life. Stay active, stay strong, take care of your muscles, and I'll see you in the next video.